There is no other species on the planet that responds as quickly and as dramatically to the good times as the desert locust. Eggs that have remained in the ground for 20 years begin to hatch. The young locusts are known as hoppers, for at this stage they're flightless. They find new feeding grounds by following the smell of sprouting grass. Normally, it takes 4 weeks for hoppers to become adults, but when the conditions are right, as now, their development switches to the fast track. As the vegetation in one place begins to run out, the winged adults release pheromones, scent messages, which tell others in the group that they must move on. And when groups merge, they form a swarm. An adult locust eats its entire body weight every day, and a whole swarm can consume literally hundreds of tons of vegetation. They have to keep on moving. The swarm travels with the wind. It's the most energy-saving way of flying. Following the flow of wind means that they're always heading toward areas of low pressure, places where wind meets rain and vegetation starts to grow. As they fly, swarms join up with other swarms to form gigantic plagues several billion strong and as much as 40 miles wide. They will consume every edible thing that lies in their path. This is one of planet Earth's greatest spectacles. It's rarely seen on this scale, and it won't last long. Once the food has gone, the steady roar of a billion beating locust wings will...
So have you ever wondered why countries are struggling to contain the locust invasion? I want to show you the life cycle of a locust and why it's such a nightmare for most countries to contain it. And this is what you can see. It takes about 3 to 5 months to be fully developed. This is a desert locust, the one you can see right here. But there's more to this, the reason why it becomes more complex. So there are 3 essential stages that it goes through. One is the egg, and then the hopper, which is also known as the nymph, and the adult. This happens in about 3 to 5 months. That's a problem, depending on the weather conditions. And then, so now, let me explain this very briefly. So first, the female lays the eggs directly into the soil that hatch after, get this, only 2 weeks, okay? Then from that, it moves to the hopper, which molts 5 to 6 times and becomes an adult in about 4 to 6 weeks. Molting essentially is shading that skin off, and it does this 5 to 6 times. Every single time it does that, it becomes even bigger. And then it becomes an adult and a mature and ready to lay their eggs after at least 3 weeks. So you can see the difference between this part. This eggs hatch after 2 weeks, comes here 4 to 6 weeks, it grows, and after only 3 weeks, it is ready to lay again. Now this is the problem why containing them is such a big hassle. Remember, I mentioned that they only have about 3 to 5 months to grow. But before that happens, this cycle is easily repeated. That's why containing them is rather hard. And depending on the weather conditions, this can even be faster, all right? So this is why containing it here in Kenya is a problem, because you saw the locusts coming out of Isiolo County, out of the soil. Those are the eggs that were hatching after 2 weeks. So it is true that after 3 to 5 months, they do actually die off. But the problem is the eggs hatch after only 2 weeks. That makes it incredibly difficult to contain it. And there's still more. The adults are ready to lay eggs in 3 weeks, like I mentioned. Get this. They lay between 90 to 160 eggs in a life cycle. That's between the 3 to 5 months. They lay twice. So there's 90 to 160 eggs. Not all of them mature, but some of them do. So if the swarms of locusts are in millions, you can imagine how many will hatch from the ground and cause terror around the country as well. You're wondering how much they eat? This is it. How much they actually consume. An adult desert locust can eat its own weight in food every day. That's about 2 grams. What this means then is if the locust invasion covers about 1 square kilometer swarm, it eats the same amount of food as 35,000 people could eat at a go. Think about that for a bit. And that's the reason why containing them is a problem. So the thing is, if the government is thinking of containing the locusts, they're going to have to spray at this particular stage. The problem with this particular stage of the egg spraying is that the eggs are under the ground, and that means they've also been covered and insulated. So therefore the pesticides don't even work anyway. All right? So that is what we're grappling with, and that's why Germany is now coming to the aid of Kenya as well.